anything in which you are deficient in, you could become more proficient in. And that's pretty obvious, right? But because of that, what that just means is the areas of your deficiency which cause you discomfort, which cause you pain, which contribute to things in your life that you don't want, that you're not enjoying, that are not optimal to you, your family, those around you, your sphere of influence, well, you have the power to address those things. Like you can, with a little bit of thought, you can get really specific about what you need to do, what skills you need to develop, and how you're going to make these really, radical changes by just understanding the way in which you inform the problem, the way in which you affect the problem, the way in which your deficiency in this particular area is leading to that problem. Hey you, I'm Mark, husband of one, father of three, maker of puns, climber of trees, grower of businesses, pitcher of tents, occasional cutter of cheese, word nerd, and lover of families. Oh no. Oh no, not yet. No. Oh, here he comes. Where's my oar? Showed that Kraken who's boss. At least until like 2 p.m. this afternoon. I think I'll be due for another attack by then. Let's jump into it. Hey, welcome to all of you bandits and chilies. This episode is called Why You're the Problem and Why That Is a Fantastic Thing. So, welcome, you problem, you. Now, so first of all, no offense. This is the royal you, so it applies to me, it applies to everyone. When it comes to what's going on in your life, in your family, in your business, there are just a lot of things where factually, objectively, you are the problem. Like you just are. And a really helpful way of looking at this is to think about in a particular individual situation, if you were able to just transpose yourself, swap places with someone else who was really, really, adept at that particular thing. So let's just say that, in the business, it could be with regards to hiring or training staff or having difficult conversations, firing, sales, marketing, like whatever. If you took yourself out of that equation and you just replaced you with someone who you really looked up to and respected, who had a lot of experience and background in that particular thing, that instantly the problem that is a massive challenge for you would not be a massive challenge for them. That's actually a really definitional thing about people that are just so far ahead in a particular domain, is that they are just no longer challenged by the same things. The things that challenge, a level 3 are just not a challenge to a level 7, right? So whatever that looks like, whether that's, lifting weights or whether that's, having difficult conversations, or whether that, they're literally not difficult conversations. The same weights that were difficult when you started going to the gym versus someone who is competing at the Olympics, they're not challenged by your weights. And it's the same with all other aspects of life. All other skill sets that can be developed along the same lines, and those things are just simply not a challenge. So what that means is, whenever you find something that is a challenge, and then you imagine someone else who is further ahead than you in that specific area, this is not to say that there's necessarily someone who's got it all figured out, and they're going to be just this perfectly rounded individual capable of dealing with all of the elements in absolute unison and harmony, and it's rainbows and sunshine and unicorns all the time, right? But there is progress to be made in all of those sort of individual areas, in all of those individual verticals. And so when you look at it that way, just by simply, hearing this, thinking about it, accepting that, yeah, okay, that's valid, right? Someone else could do so much better at me in this particular thing and in that particular thing, and therefore since what is challenging to me would not be challenging to them, and so ergo I am the problem. Well, why that's a fantastic thing is that you are also the solution. You can recognize that, you can control that. Sometimes it's literally just as simple as recognizing that changes it. Just by recognizing that someone else could easily solve this problem, a lot of the time that's enough for you to then just easily solve the problem, because you're just reframing the problem and realizing that, oh, okay, this isn't insurmountable. Like, other people would just surmount it, right? It's just the kind of problem that they surmount. So I could become the kind of person that surmounts this kind of problem. Other things might be a little bit more, it might actually require significant work to level up in that skill set. Again, using the illustration of weights, there's really no shortcut. You just have to put in the reps, get the strength which builds up over time. You can't you can't put all of like the year's worth of reps in 1 week and get the year's result. Like, it just doesn't work that way. It's something that there is a factual elapse of time that has to happen. But with other things, you can kind of get further ahead quicker than you might otherwise think, if you weren't looking at it through this particular lens of, well, it would be really, really easy for so-and-so to solve this problem. So a little bit of a quick framework for this is, firstly, identifying what the particular skill is that would solve this problem. So is it actually, because sometimes it's a disguise. Sometimes it seems as though the skill that you need is one thing and it's just masquerading as another. It might seem as though you need a skill that is maybe like this. I need these particular soft skills or these people skills or whatever to influence this conversation or to make this, transition smoother, or I need to be a better communicator or better able to cast a vision or whatever. When in reality, maybe the skill is just accepting that you're not going to make everyone happy, and just accepting that you don't need to be a people pleaser, and just accepting that sometimes the right decision is not the best decision for everyone. And so there's a skill set involved in that, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of easy to develop that, because once you just accept the truth of that thing, it's pretty easy to implement. I was listening to something recently. I can't actually remember who said this, but they were talking about how so many people get stuck on things and they get hung up on things with this present focus bias, where they, at the expense of an awkward 15-minute conversation, will suffer the pain of not having that conversation for years of their life, maybe forever, because they don't want to address this thing. They just completely avoid this one conversation that they could be having, which maybe the conversation would be over in 15 minutes, maybe the awkward effects of the conversation would be over in 48 or 168 hours, who knows. And then you move on, and then 3 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that problem is so far in the rearview mirror, and it's opened up so many other things by just having dealt with it directly, and getting into the habit of dealing with those things directly. So that would be a good example. I know this is kind of a vague generality. This is a bit of a weird episode in the way I'm approaching this. I feel like this is. I can sense that I'm saying a lot of things that make sense to my brain in a very abstract way, and I'm not sort of giving a lot of specific examples. So I hope that this is landing. I hope it's making sense to you. And if it's not, if it is, great, fantastic. But especially if it's not, can you reach out to me and can you let me know that? Because I would really appreciate that feedback, and I would appreciate the opportunity to be able to clarify what I'm saying here, because it is a little bit abstract the way that I'm approaching this. I'm kind of recognizing that as I'm laying this out. So anyway, first framework is identifying which skill it actually is that you would require. And a way to do that is kind of in conjunction with the second framework of imagining transposing someone else into that situation. So if you imagine, okay, I am going to swap out myself in this particular setting and situation for just like some crazy person. Like let's just imagine that Elon Musk is dropped into my situation. Like, what is he going to do differently? How is he going to approach the situation? And so sometimes by making that swap, you can kind of identify what the quality that you're looking for is by the person that you picked. Because you go, okay, well, like, what's he going to do? Okay, so it's this particular quality. It's this skill set or this particular strength that person is going to use to solve the problem. So kind of step 2 may help to clarify step 1 if there's ambiguity about what the actual skill is that you're needing to address. But then also the other benefit of step 2 in and of and for itself is that you can get a pretty good idea of how much of this problem you already understand how to solve. So even though in that example, you cannot just swap Elon Musk into your position and, have him solve the problem, your imagination is a really powerful tool. And you can effectively swap him into that situation in as much as that individual exists in your mind and what you understand about them and about the way that they approach things and their mentality and whatever it is. You can imagine that avatar of a person addressing this problem, and it's kind of like the concept of letting your dreams die for you. You can imagine all of these scenarios and see which ones would play out well, how they would work, and all of that kind of thing. So if you see by putting someone else into that seat and you kind of watch their avatar run through and and work through these problems and go, yeah, that played out really well. Well, then you can assess, well, what can I do to model what I think that person would do? And as simple as that might sound, that is profoundly different to you imagining yourself solving the problem in 3 different ways. Because if you put someone else in the seat who you know is definitely like this is not a challenge for them. It's like, I know that person is just going to solve this problem. They're just going to come in, they're going to do the thing, and they're going to solve it. Well, then the way that you are watching this play out in your mind is you already know the ending. You know that it ends with this problem being solved. And so then you're not like kind of guessing at the pathway. You maybe are still guessing at the pathway, but you know that there is a pathway. That's like a crucial difference in that kind of transposition exercise. And then the third way, the third element of that framework is translating that transposition into what you can realistically do about it right now. Like what are your next 3 steps? What are your next 3 moves? What actually needs to happen? And depending on what the thing is, maybe it's like you need to have like a long-term horizon on it, and so you're breaking it down over, the course of 5 years and a year and 3 months and 1 week and today and the next hour, whatever it is, right? However you want to break it down. But if it's like, let's just use the example of one really difficult conversation or one like acute issue that you need to address. Something that I have found really, really helpful in going into difficult conversations or like waters where I feel the need to navigate very specifically is when I play out the scenario and I'm sort of working through what I think the outcomes might be and the best path and possible responses and all of that kind of thing. I like to write out the really specific things, really specific steps and information that I think needs to be exact, especially like if I want to say, for example, something in a very precise way, I will write out the quote of how I'm going to say that particular line. And I might just have some dot points around that kind of leading into this part of the conversation, but it's like, this is the line. This is the thing that I need to really convey and get across in a very precise manner. And so I know that I'm leading towards that thing. And so then having that clarity around like kind of the anchor points of either the conversation or a key sort of turning point in a problem, that just helps to give a little bit of structure and stability and clarity into whatever the situation may be. So again, like I said, a little bit abstract, but circling back to the theme. Why you're the problem, why that's a fantastic thing. anything in which you are deficient in, you could become more proficient in. And that's pretty obvious, right? But because of that, what that just means is the areas of your deficiency which cause you discomfort, which cause you pain, which contribute to things in your life that you don't want, that you're not enjoying, that are not optimal to you, your family, those around you, your sphere of influence. Well, you have the power to address those things. Like you can, with a little bit of thought, you can get really specific about what you need to do, what skills you need to develop, and how you're going to make these really, radical changes by just understanding the way in which you inform the problem, the way in which you affect the problem, the way in which your deficiency in this particular area is leading to that problem. This kind of reminds me of the concept. I can't remember who said this. I don't know if this was a Brandon Vaughan quote or Joshua Latimer, maybe. I'm not really sure. But that basically you have all of the systems in your business. Like they all exist. It's just that a lot of them are terrible, right? And it's the same for like life. Like any systems, whatever you're doing, the system is there. And the example could be given that if you do not follow up with your customers, then you have a zero-touch follow-up system, right? Mm-hmm. So you have everything laid out. Everything is running correctly according to the coding in the program now. It's just that there are bugs baked in, and everything is calibrated. I feel like this is maybe also kind of bordering on like a Jim Rohn quote, which is essentially like, I feel like I'm misattributing this one as well, but basically that your bank balance is correct. Like whatever the bank balance is, it's correct. It's not a mistake. That is just the natural result of all of the factors that combined to lead to that outcome. The same with your weight or your cardiovascular fitness or any other quantifiable or even the unquantifiable, but really for the sake of looking at it, it's more helpful to think about it as quantifiable things where it's like a specific number, such as weight or a bank balance. But every single thing, these are just the results. It just is. You got third place, like you just did. So when you look at the things that led to that and the systems that you have in place, the heuristics, mental shortcuts that you take in your thinking to lead to that outcome, or the way that you approach things, the things that you spend time on, spend money on, give attention to, the intake that you have, in terms of entertainment, in terms of content, just all of that, the balance of everything that you are, everything that you do, everything that you consume, everything that you bring, all equates to whatever it is that the outcomes that you get. Now, obviously, there are also total externalities to that. For the sake of this, taking on full accountability for things is, on the one hand, terrifying, but on the other hand, it is so empowering and it gives so much clarity, because when you understand that you completely control and can impact what is happening and why something is wrong, and because you're the problem, you can then also be the solution, then that just changes the way that you're able to play the game. And it's such an important thing. And I feel like everyone kind of understands this on some level. And I feel like I feel like I've known this for a long time, but then it was only maybe, I don't know, I want to say like maybe 12 or 18 months ago that I really kind of started to really solidify my understanding of this. And then I think that got leveled up even again, probably close to 8 months ago or something, with just some books and things that I was reading at the time. And you know how it is, right? Sometimes around a particular topic, information just merges and integrates in a really interesting way, and you start to see particular things with a lot of clarity. And this was like one of those topics which has just like kind of come together in a lot more sharp focus than it had previously. Anyway, it's such a super important thing. I just wanted to like ramble and rant about it. Really appreciate your feedback on this random rambling rant. Your challenge for today is to think of a person for whom something that is currently challenging you would not be a challenge for them, right? Hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it does. And if not, then that can be a challenge deciphering what that means. And just to end on a note of you not being the problem, but instead it being me that's the problem, here is the lame dad joke for today. What has 5 toes, but is not your foot? My foot. All right. That's it. Have an awesome day. Make someone else's day awesome. Call or text someone who randomly popped into your head. Check how they're doing. Catch ya. Bye. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Are you sniffing what I'm stepping in? If you're looking for a really valuable community centered around building your business, being really intentional with your spouse and kids, and if you think you can tolerate my terrible dad jokes, then join Family-Oriented Business Growers. It's awesome. There's self-paced challenges designed to help you solve key pain points within your business in short, intentional sprints. There's awesome people in there doing awesome things who have experience with stuff that can help you, having stood where you stand. You'll benefit from what's in there, we'll benefit from having you in there, you legend you, and best of all, it's totally free and also free of toxic shenanigans because we don't tolerate none of that. The mission of the group is to help 250 family-oriented home service business owners reclaim 5 hours per week for what matters most whilst growing their business this year. So jump in there and get amongst it. Join via warplan.au, that's warplan.au. Oh no. He's early. Warplan.au. Catch you in there. Yeah!